This video is going to have a look at using Pythagoras theory to be able to solve a word question. So before we have a look at the word question example, just remember the two formulas that we are using for Pythagoras theory. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared. That's the one that you will often see on your formula sheet. And then it can be rearranged to a squared equals c squared minus b squared. We use the a squared plus b squared formula when we're finding the hypotenuse side, so the angle opposite the right angle. If it's on the other two sides, then it's a squared equals c squared minus b squared. So when answering word questions, just important to be remembering the differences in those two formulas that we use with Pythagoras. So let's have a look at our example. So in the example, we have a wedge of cake that has been cut, so it forms a right-angled triangle. The longest edge of the wedge is 12 centimeters long, and the shortest edge is 84 millimeters long. Calculate the length of the third side, correct to 1 decimal place. So let's go ahead and look at how we would answer this question. And the first thing I do is look for the important information in the question. So we've got a right angle triangle. We know that the longest side is 12 centimeters and the shortest side is 84 millimeters. So that gives me enough information that I can go ahead and draw a diagram. So when I draw a diagram, I'm going to draw a right angle triangle because that is what the question has told me that I have. Then I can go ahead and mark my sides. So the longest side is 12 centimeters, and I know the longest side of a right angle triangle is the hypotenuse. So that's going to be 12 centimeters along the hypotenuse side. And the shortest side is going to be 84 millimeters, which I want to convert into 8.4 centimeters by dividing 84 by 10. Because I cannot do calculations if I don't have the same units of measurements. All my measurement calculations need to be in the same unit before I can proceed. So having a look at the triangle, I've got two sides known, and I want to find the third unknown side, which I'm going to call x. I've got the side opposite the right angle, being my hypotenuse side known. So that means I'm going to be finding one of the other sides. So the formula that I'm going to use is a squared equals c squared minus b squared. Once I've done that, I can go ahead and substitute in my values. So 12 is going to be c because it's the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse is always c in a right angle triangle. B is going to be 8.4, and a is going to be x. So substituting in, x squared is equal to 12 squared minus 8.4 squared. So putting that into my calculator, x squared is equal to 73.44. Then having to square root both sides to get x by itself. So x is going to equal to 8.57 centimeters. And because the question is asking for 1 decimal place and I need to follow the instructions in the question, it's going to be 8.6 centimeters. Now the other thing to remember is when we have a word question, we normally have a word answer. So I need to write a bit of a statement to be able to finish off this question. And the statement can be as simple as the third side of the triangle is equal to 8.6 centimeters. So that is an example of how I can answer a word question involving Pythagoras theory. Just remembering that if it doesn't give you a diagram, always start with a diagram first. That will enable you then to go ahead and do your calculation.